Evening, this is David Lynn, and you're with me for Coffee Talk, number 485 live stream, 7 p.m. Central Time, Friday, August the 1st, 2025. I have a summer cold, I have a summer cold, I have a drippy nose. Julie Ann West, Joseph Moore, and I Bullfrog 79. Hello, guys. Diet Coke. First diet soda I've had in a while. KP Heathen. Julie West. Julie West channel closed. Ooh. Julie's over in the UK. And this is my first live stream since this past Sunday. I had a work week. Went back to work this week. So I am got a week under my belt. It's a nice new experience being at the high school. For one thing, I understand the food is a lot better in the cafeteria. A lot more a la carte things that they make. And they do give adult portions to the adults, which is a good deal. Enrique Trevino in the house. Evelyn Official, hello. How are y'all doing? I'm backtracking to see who's here. How is work going, KP? Eight in the house and 6 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. You're in Arlington, Joseph? Wow. Cool. Evelyn Official, I bet you're over on the other side of the world, because if it's morning over there, it's evening over here. And it is evening over here. Appreciate you coming by. And I try to support those who support me, so I do try to visit my friends. Enrique, I've got a good topic for you this evening. The border wall. Ah! The border wall. 2 weeks holiday. Wonderful. Channel closed. Good thing. Rest. Rest and recreation. Yoda. Hello, my friend Yoda. Well, did you corner the market on channels yet? I think my friend Yoda passed his 15K and is heading towards 20. Melinda Elliott, how are you doing? Blessings, young lady. I have had a summer cold this week. My wife's still on me. You gotta go to the doctor. Call Teledoc. You gotta take medication. A cold is a cold, and a cold's gonna happen. And you can take stuff for symptoms, and I'm taking stuff for symptoms. Matter of fact, I got prescription stuff for symptoms from the last time I took. You know. But 15,322. Man, you are in warp speed, my friend. I am Dave. I am at. I'll punch in my numbers. 2017. And I am surprised that I'm at 2017 because I haven't been doing anything to bring in new other than posting some stuff. I haven't done any videos. I haven't got Uncle Al's box ready yet. The latest box from the 2,000 subscribers. I'm still working on that one. I still need to do Dave's mail call. I hadn't done Dave's mail call. I haven't done menu number 4, the spaghetti MRE menu number 4. I haven't done that one. All the stuff that I love, I haven't done. I have been sleeping. I get in from work, and I take some of my over-the-counter medication. I go to sleep, and I have been sleeping. Yeah, I wake up at night. You get older, and you got to go drain your kidneys, type thing. But I'll wake up 2-3 times a night to do that, and then I go right back to sleep, and I'm putting a 10 hours of sleep at night, and I normally sleep about 5 to 6 hours at night. And I'm sleeping a good 10 hours or so while I'm recovering from my summer cold. Oh, I'm happy, Dave. I'm happy. I'm not worried about it. It is what it is. Yes, I'm at least above the 2K. I'm so happy to be above the 2K. Like my backup channel. I'm happy. My backup channel is like at 109, and my goal was to get over 100 and stay up there. So I'm. If I pick up a few, lose a few, and I stay up above 2K, I'm happy. I'm not worried about it. Gina B. Yunkin. Jules of Gina. How you doing? So I am back at work, Gina. Had 2 months off. I'm back at work, and I'm working high school this year, special education, what they call inclusion. So I will be doing inclusion, content mastery. We're working with kids, trying to help them in their academics. You're very sick. Will be in hospital probably before Wednesday. Thought she was going to admit me today. Did not go well. My wife was at the doctor again today. She's been hitting the doctor's office real hard lately. Hello, little lone prepper. Well, Dave, we'll be in prayer for you. I am off this weekend, so if anybody wants to talk, send me a text or call me, and I'll be happy to talk with you. Hope you're doing well, Barbara. Oh, yeah. But no, I'm taking over-the-counter high blood pressure, anti-cold medication. And then I'm taking some, where are you? It says take these 3 times a day. These are benzonatate. That's the way it comes across, 200 milligram capsules. Take 1 capsule 3 times a day by mouth. And this is for coughing. And this was a previous prescription that I had. But they're still good. And they're helping me. Peter! Hello, part-time planting. How are we doing? 9 in the house, 11 likes. Getting seeds in for early start. Okay. I tell you, you talk about things to talk about. Um, Anytime there's conflict going on, places where people go, retirees, the people they call the passport bros, over right now, Cambodia and Vietnam have been having some issues, border issues. They've been a bunch of people have been getting killed over there. That's not nice. It's just not good. Peace, peace is good. China has been threatening the Philippines. They're bullies. They bully. China's got everybody around them. It's not my topic for this evening, but China's got everybody on the planet pissed off. Thailand. Say what you mean. Say what you mean, Uncle Al. I get the wrong country. Not Vietnam. Okay. Thailand. Thailand and Cambodia. I knew it was Cambodian somebody. So it was Thailand. They're all small countries over there together. They're all grouped up there together. That's where we had that big war back in the 60s and 70s. Well, they called it a police action or whatever. I don't know. Peppered tomatoes, onions, potatoes. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. I love potatoes. I love onions and I love peppers. I do not like conflict of any sort. I was talking to my new paraprofessional today. I have a paraprofessional assigned to work with me. Nice lady. Met some of her kids today. They came by, little kids. And anytime I can call somebody in their 40s a youngster, or if I was 20 when they were born and they're in their 40s, ooh, Lord have mercy. The other thing is that I've had people come up to me, hey, do you remember me? I was your student. Somebody looks like they're in their mid to late 20s, and they remember me when they were in junior high or whatever. You were my principal. Okay. I have teachers I haven't seen in 20 years. Hey, do you remember me? And they give, they mention the name, and it's like, okay, I'm looking hard at their face because I know faces a lot better. I remember faces a lot better than I remember names. And I'm trying to. China invaded USA, killed a governor. We'll talk soon. That's good. I enjoy talking, Dave. Yeah. People are in the 50-mile circle. Okay. Uncle Al is of the opinion too many people live and die within 50 miles of where they were born. He calls it the 50-mile circle. And I live in Victoria, Texas, which is about 100 miles from where I was born, so I'm not in that 50-mile circle, but I'm in that 100-mile circle, I guess, if Uncle Al wanted to classify a 100-mile circle. And I've lived in a number of places, different distances from where I was born. But for the last 20 years, I've been in Victoria, Texas. Saipan. My sister and brother-in-law are going to Australia and Vietnam next month. They're going to be gone for about a month. Not me. I don't plan on going anywhere out of the States. I hear you. 10 watching, 12 likes, 500 away from my birthplace. Well, we are 15 minutes into my live stream. Just a few update things. Well, for one, this is my first live stream since last Sunday. I worked this week, and I have not felt good this week because I got a cold. I guess I might have caught something from my wife. She got sick, and then I got sick. I'm off 2 months, no problems, and all of a sudden I got a cold. You know, and don't pay the ransom, Barbara. I moved to London when 21, but that left it was horrible. Yeah, I can imagine. You know, they're having a lot of problems over there, and I can talk to you about that. One is immigration. It seems to be everybody's big problem, immigration. The Brits have allowed too many foreigners to come in. People, and we're not talking about Northern Europeans, or people from Europe proper. We're talking about people from the Middle East and North Africa, people whose cultures and their religions not the same. And that's not good because they want to enforce their beliefs on the majority population. They very anti-hostile to women. They're very anti-hostile to Christianity. Very bad over there. Yeah, teenagers and students have germs. Teachers and students have germs. You're 55 now. You're still young. Well, hello, buying space, Myra. How are you doing? So, we all have to take care of ourselves. Take our prescription medications. I was talking to my paraprofessional lady, and she takes injections for her diabetes. She's got a applicator that she uses once a day. She takes an injection for her diabetes. And I was telling her, well, my doctor tripled my sugar medication. I take a large pill 3 times a day now, 500 milligrams of metformin. I was taking one a day, and now I'm taking it 3 times a day. I will be house sitting and having a copy of their full itinerary. I told her the best I could do would be to contact the U.S. Embassy. I am 23 miles from where I was born. Yeah. Uh, well, so I have things that I want to accomplish with my channel. And right now, I got to get straightened out and finish a video for my 2,000 subscriber giveaway. And I filmed how I did it so that you can see the names, what names went and had 12 people. And I just reached in, pulled out, and I'm sorry because Uncle Al and I send stuff to each other on a fairly regular basis. I should have probably cheated and did it again so that he was not the winner, but I have a hard time being dishonest, and he did win. So, I pulled his name out. I could have just as easily pulled out some other person. But most of the people that were the names in the hat had gotten something from me in the past. Matter of fact, all of them had gotten something from me in the past. It was 11 U.S. citizens or 48 state citizens, and Claudette, who's a Canadian. Claudette was my 600 subscriber giveaway. She could have been the winner. She said, "No, I don't want to be a winner. Don't want you to spend the money, because it costs." I have, I have sent stuff all over the place, and they keep raising the rates on what they charge. About 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I sent out a couple of boxes. I sent one to Uncle Al out in California. I sent one to Dave in Georgia. And then I followed up and I sent Dave some Cholula sauce and some Tabasco green pepper that he had asked for. So I sent him another little package. But I paid like $16 a piece to send out those pretty good size, the boxes I sent out to those two. And then the following week, I sent out a box to Stephanie, the Idaho Garden Girl. In her box, it cost me $21 to send her box. So it was $5 more. And then it actually took almost a week for her to get her box. Well, it's going a little bit off the beaten trail because it was Idaho. She lives somewhere near Boise, in the area of Boise, Idaho, which is probably their biggest city up there. Oh, I'm sure. I agree with you. The postmaster probably should be replaced. Uncle Al says, invade Canada. Well, they're going to be having a referendum. A couple of those western states up there where they've got resources, not a lot of population, they tend to be very conservative. They're very unhappy with the national government back east. They send them more money than they get back from it. I'm drinking Diet Coke. I need to upload a short for my supper. I stopped at Dairy Queen on the way back and got a couple of dude specials, the chicken fried steak sandwiches with fries, and got Diet Cokes. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm a real big fan of Cholula, and I'm a real big fan of Tabasco. Both of those are my brands. And I got a box of 20 Samker, like 2-ounce hot sauces that Dave sent me, which I need to do a review of. Is sitting right here next to me. I haven't opened them. I opened the box to see what it was, but I haven't opened them. I need to do an unboxing or a mail call on that. And but let's talk a little bit about my topic. I'm going to get Uncle Al going this evening. He's going to get going. So let's talk about the border wall. And I did take some notes on it. The southern border between the United States and Mexico is 1,954 miles, almost 2,000 miles. 1,954 miles. The Rio Grande River, which is border between Mexico and Texas, and you go into New Mexico, it is 1,255 miles. The river is the border for 1,255 miles. And then, yes, it has. Hello, JC. The southern border wall, they had been building different forms, different heights, different materials, different costs for decades and decades. And a lot of that stuff is like rotted out. They were going through and putting up reinforcement in some areas, trying to raise it a little bit. putting Constantina wire up, going through and using lots of Constantina wire, trying to make it very difficult for people to get through. And I mean, they've been messing around with the border since Reagan was president, you know. So there are places along the border that had pre-existing wall when Trump came into office. But there was a lot more places that didn't. So what would happen is you would have a city in Mexico right along the border, and then you'd have on the other side of the border or the other side of the river, you'd have U.S. Another city, you know. So like Laredo and Nueva Laredo. And that's an example. So they put fencing up. A lot of it's fencing. A lot of it was fencing to where you would know where the border was. And a lot of times you didn't have that much difficulty getting through it, but you knew it was the border wall, or you knew it was the border, and you knew it was a little bit of an impediment. Then they started trying to put up larger, like during the Trump administration, they had companies competing with different types of wall, and they had them build little segments of it out in the middle of nowhere, and then they put on like a little show of, this is what we'll do, and this is what this will cost. And he settled on this Ballard type where you trench it, you form it out, concrete and metal, I mean big metal poles that are attached along the top, and the thing's like 32 feet high, but you can see in between. You can't squeeze in between it, but you can see in between it. So you can walk right up to it and look, you know, and you know, you could pass somebody something other over across, but you're not going to get through it. And it's one of those things like where people try to get across it, or they, you know, and you know, people who are really in good shape, muscular, have climbing abilities. And it shows a few examples of people actually getting over it, you know. But your average person, or your older person, or your younger person, or your female person, they're not going to do that, you know. And and then there are places where they built double wall. So you've got a wall, and you've got a secondary wall with like, you know, area in between, and you know, you got roads along it, lighting, sensors, that kind of stuff. But that's only in small sections. You know, it's not like the goal that Trump has in this administration. He says, I want to build a complete wall along the extent of the border. Please leave a like, JC. If you haven't done so, please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And the goal is to build wall to cover the whole length of the border. So then the question comes back, how much does it cost? Or how much would it cost? So in Trump's first term, he was having a real hard time because the blue people, we'll call the Republicans the red people, or the red-pilled people, and we'll call the Democrats the blue-pilled people. The blue-pilled people did not want the red-pilled people building wall. They wanted come one, come all. So they did everything they could to try to stop funding expenditures. They wouldn't vote when the Democrats had control uh, in the House. When they had control in the House, and when they could basically get the vice president to put in a vote to block stuff in the Senate, it's very difficult for Trump to get anything done. Plus, he had the courts fighting him. So they were doing all sorts of creative things to try to build wall, and they were building wall successfully. They were successfully building wall, but it was really a very bad situation. It still is from the standpoint of trying to build wall. As soon as Biden entered office, he did an executive order to shut off construction on the wall. And you're in a situation where you got to have easements. A lot of the border is owned. A lot of the land along the border is owned privately. So you have to basically get a right or an easement, and you got to negotiate those, and you got to pay for them. Sometimes you got to pay a good chunk of money for them, and that's all calculated into the cost of building border wall. There are 7 locations in Texas, 7 counties in Texas, where they are actively building border wall. And when the Biden administration came in and they stopped federal construction of the wall, the state of Texas has been funding, trying to keep people out. And they've been using National Guard, Department of Public Safety. They've been spending billions of dollars building wall, and the way they're basically constructing, because of the way and what they're using to construct it, the materials and everything, you're able to build about a half a mile a week. When they're working on construction on one of those sites, you can build about half a mile a week. The way that they're doing it, what the materials are using, the way that they have to trench it, they have to dig it out, and then they have to form it out, and then, concrete, and put in all your baluard and everything, get all that done. It's a process. And it's a slow process. It's a slow process. How far am I from the border? Oh, I'm in Victoria, Texas. So depending on which direction I go, like if I go directly south, like trying to go down to Brownsville, that's probably the farthest length that I would go. And that is probably a 5-hour drive for me. If I wanted to go to Laredo, which I would be going west, probably a 4-hour drive. It's a couple hours to San Antonio, and then from San Antonio to it's about 4 hours. I'm several hundred miles from the border. Belinda's Country Living. Hello, Belinda. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. So, I need to spend a little time. Tissues, don't be without them. Excuse me. I'm gonna. excuse me. Yuck. Blowing my nose. I'm draining. So, my summer cold. I have a summer cold, Belinda. So, I need to work on, and I know I'm going back and forth all over the place. Yeah. Sorry. Yep. I'm in a bad way. So, and even when I'm sick, I go to work. Like the last 2 years, I periodically get sick. Kids would be sick and stay home. I'd come to work. I haven't missed any work the last 2 years. I told them, so if I'm breathing, I'm going to go to work. Now, if I had like the plague, that might be different. But I mean, I get a lot of the colds. And I tell you what, over the Thanksgiving break last year, I had the flu, and I was like as sick as a dog for over a week. I mean to tell you, I was like laid out. I didn't do anything. Mom of 4 boys. Hello, Mom. How's it going, Rachel? Please leave a like, Rachel. It'll make Uncle Al and me happy. So I've got to get Uncle Al's box. I got to finish filming the box. I got the other parts of the video done. I just need to show y'all what's in and everybody should know pretty much what's in the box, but I want to show the box and get put together and release it as a video. Then, there's several people that are going to be getting boxes. My stuff goes out in like flurries. So there's several people who are going to be getting boxes from me in the near future. I think I've mentioned to you, just be patient. It comes, but sometimes it comes slow. Thank you. I appreciate that you always leave a like. I know you do. I know you do. So I had to go and get a new badge. They had to print me a new badge with the picture. And hey, the way things are where I'm at, I don't have to use a physical key. Well, they gave me a key to a file cabinet to lock up IEPs. And it's like you pull on the file cabinet a little bit too hard, it'll open up. So it's like, but I'm meeting the law by keeping them locked. That's the only key I have to use on my campus. The other thing is I've got a card. Wear it around the neck, put it up against a badge reader, and it opens the door to the building, to my room. It's nice. Got to go to the library, use the card reader. So back to what I was saying. New segment should be what's in the box, David. Yeah. Well, I still got your box here, Dave. I need to do a video on a mail call on you, and I appreciate it. And I will get into the spices, use them. But like while I've been sick, I haven't been cooking. My wife's been sick, but I've been sick. I haven't been cooking, so eating a lot of takeout. Like I was going and getting my wife tacos down at Speedy Stop, bringing them home, and then going to work, And I'm just, trying to recover. I feel better now, but I'm still tired. Like I'm probably going to sleep 10 hours tonight when the live stream's over. So back to when Biden came into office, he issued an order to stop construction. Now, during the Trump administration, he had a remain in Mexico policy with Mexico, and it kept them from coming across the border during the latter part of his administration. But as soon as Biden took office, millions of illegals started coming in again. Millions and millions and millions, and they're arguing over how many people came in during the Biden administration. Well, like when I'm healthy, we hardly ever eat out, Belinda. We don't. You see some of the stuff I cook. I cook breakfast plates and I cook tacos and such like that. And then I usually have like meat plates, for later in the day. Can make you sandwiches, with some turkey and ham and cheese and mayonnaise and lettuce, tomatoes, and such. Make good sandwiches. Then I do a lot of cooking. So here lately, a couple of times recently, ribs, beef ribs, pork ribs, pot roast. Cook a nice pot roast, put lots of vegetables in it. I love cooking. Yeah, they call Michelle Big Mike. Uh, they say the same thing about the president of France. He was groomed as a teenager by his, we'll say, wife, who's like 30 years older than him, or something like that. Um, the French, God help them. It's illegal to do paternity testing over there. The French are, woo, good God Almighty. Holly Ivans, hello, Holly. Don't get me going on the French. Yeah, 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 that's true, Uncle Al. Jesus. How did we get on these topics? 15 in the house. Please leave a like to support the channel. Be greatly appreciated. So, in October of 2023, and the reason why this happened is the Democrat senator facing a rough re-election in Arizona talked Biden into allowing construction to fill in some gaps where they were bleeding through. And that way you could campaign that they're building wall, you know. But in October of 2023, Biden announced that he was restarting wall construction in 20 additional miles. 20 miles of wall. Were built in Arizona near Yuma, basically closing some gaps. And I did a post earlier in the week where I showed what that looked like. You got this huge straight wall, and all of a sudden it stops, and then you can show somebody standing near it, and then it's like nothing. Big gaps. And that's what they were working on, trying to some areas where, and that's what they're doing in Texas right now, where I said that there were 7 different counties where they're building a wall in Texas. And that's the Texas government doing that. And Trump and the Fed said that they would reimburse them for what they were spending and what they were doing, you know. So President Trump got reelected January the 20th, 2025. He pledged to finish the wall during his second term. And I've been reading notes from Wikipedia. Uncle Al was saying, cite your source. Wikipedia. I've been getting some of the stuff. And, you know, then you get stuff off of the government site, government. You can go and look at what the state of Texas, they've got a website. You can go and look at what they're doing, how much money they're spending. They're spending billions of dollars. They've spent billions of dollars. The wall, they're projecting different costs to build the wall. Like they're saying maintenance on the walls like $500,000 a year per mile. It's bullshit, but I mean that's one of the, excuse my language, it's one of the things that they're saying. It's like maintenance on the wall is expensive. And Michael Irving. Well, a lot of Germans are in Mexico. A lot of Irish are in Mexico. Back when Porfirio Diaz, president for life, he was fairly conservative. He brought in a lot of Germans. He brought in a lot of German people. He actually created a pretty thriving middle class. The well-to-do, it's Saint Porfirio Diaz. To the poor people, Pancho Villa and Zapata, and there's a few others. They like the bandidos, the poor people. But yeah, a lot. There were a lot of Europeans that came in. They brought in people that were trained, skilled. When they Diaz tried to do and did a fairly good job in Mexico of what we were doing here: the railroads, communications, electricity. Trying to, modernize. He created a rural police to fight the bandits, the rurales. You've heard of the federales. Well, he had a rurales. Basically, what he did was he gave badges to the biggest. They did the same thing here in the States. They would basically deputize, or they create deputy marshals of people who were basically bad, the bad guys. They'd take some of the ones that wanted to become honest, or they wanted to redeem themselves, and they set them after the bad guys. So you had basically reformed criminals going after the criminals down there. They called them the rurales. This is the same thing like the Texas Rangers back in the day. They get the badasses, give them, the Rangers fight the Indians, fight the Mexicans, fight the Yankees, fight whoever. Mike Crusher Reviews. Hello, Mike. Please leave a like to support the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. Mike Crusher Reviews, my friend. My first live stream since Sunday, Mike. Back at work. If the U.S. invades Mexico, you'll be up against the cartel. Easier said than done. Well, what they anticipate happening is it would be special operators. They would send in Delta Force. They would send in special forces. They would send in SEAL teams. They're already doing overflights. They're already conducting surveillance. They know where they're at. They know where they're dug in. It'd be sort of like going after Hamas, or some of the people that the Israelis are fighting, going in and cleaning them out, hitting their leadership, and I expect that'll start in the next year or so. And yeah, they'll retaliate. They'll start coming across the border. But when um, back before World War I, General Pershing took a large force into Mexico to go after Pancho Villa. He and his friends were raiding along the border, raiding along Texas, raiding along New Mexico. They were raiding along the border towns, going in robbing and looting, kill a few people here and there, would take off, go back into Mexico. The president sent General Pershing into Mexico to go get him. He sent the cavalry. They weren't motorized back in the day. They were on horseback, so they sent the cavalry in, sent like 10,000. Several brigades of cavalry went in to go get him and chased them all over the place. When they finally got Pancho Villa, it was basically they put out a bounty on him, a real big bounty on his head, and it was people that knew him that got him. Yeah, they do stuff like that. Well, some of those people down there, Mexico is predominantly a Catholic country, Roman Catholic, but they practice a perverse, what they call a santeria. They're into voodoo and some of that stuff, and they're into sacrifices and blood magic and all that crap. That's not Christian. A lot of paganism in it. They do a lot of that stuff down there. Please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And so, I did in different sites cite different amounts. The idea of construction along the border. Oh well, there was one source that said $6.5 million a mile. And then there are some areas where they contract for a certain number of miles. And when you look at how much money the contract is and how much border wall they're building, and it's like, $11 million a mile. Like, they did a contract recently, the feds did, $77 million for like 7.5 miles of border wall, and they're filling gap. They're filling. I've looked at the interactive map. I'm not good with the voodoo stuff. I don't do the StreamYard where I can pull up and display stuff. But you can go in and you can access interactive map of where the border wall is, where they're building, where they're constructing, what they're doing. And they pretty much settled on Trump's 32-foot high Ballard, and they're constructing in places where they're actually they're replaced. There's a lot of wall that has to be replaced because of the materials that it was built with. Really is not keeping many people out. There are holes where people can get through, where they get through, where the coyotes run them through. There are tunnels in certain places. So often they find a tunnel. And it's a pain in the butt. It really is a pain in the butt. Lots of drugs. That's true. Yeah, fentanyl. Trump's been talking about 100,000 people a year dying from overdoses. You know, the components are coming from China. They mix the stuff up in Mexico. They bring it over. They're doing a better job of non-lethal doses. Like the idea is like you've never taken the stuff and you take one pill and it kills you. They're trying to avoid that because they want repeat. They want people, stupid people, to get addicted to it and keep using it. So they make money off them with what does not do good for you to kill your customer. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, Holly. There's a lot of idiots in the world. They talk about 80 million people voted for Trump, and he won by he had 2.5 million more votes than Harris did. What does that tell you? 70 some odd million people voted for Kamala Harris. Uncle Al has a lot of cousin Dumases. Lot of cousin Dumases. Well, that's true. But what you're going to see, what you're going to see is you're going to see them start going after the leadership. And they have been going after the leadership. They have arrested and they have deported, and there are some Mexican drug lords. Their life sentences here in the United States. They're in prison, and they find replacements for them. You know, like you had Chapo, and then you had his sons. A lot of these drug lords have sons. The sons are in the business. The sons are in the pipeline. So you get one of the top dogs. There's somebody there to take over. And a lot of those cartels are fighting amongst themselves over territory and over, you know, and they're killing a lot of people. Mexico is the least safe place in the Americas to go visit. Mexico. Yeah, don't mention any names. Don't mention any names, please. No, 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 no. They're heroes, Some they have the support of the people. They give people stuff. They spread money around. It's like Robin Hood. They're very popular. Now they're not quite as popular when they start killing people. You know, a lot of Mexican small town politicians, a lot of mayors, their wives, their husbands, their children, getting shot on the street. You know, politicians killing a lot of people down there. And they've been having, like the protests and such you've been hearing about here. They're having protests down in Mexico City against the Americans, the U.S. nationals that are living down there, retired, or they're down there. They've got small businesses, or they're retired on the income and they're living down there. And go home. They're looting. They're burning. They're destroying stuff. They're trashing businesses. A lot of protests, and the police aren't doing a damn thing to stop them. So I I'm on low batteries right now. I'm really on low batteries. Um, I will plan on being back tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk. Uncle Al, come up with a topic, please, because I'm brain dead right now. And there will be more on the border wall in the future. I wrote down scribbled notes that I took, researching it. And I'm trying to be as fair as I can with what I say. I don't want you to upset with me too much. I will try to post a couple of. Yeah, please leave a like. If you haven't, please leave a like to support the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. And I will plan on being back tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk. When I get up in the morning, I thank God for the day. I take my medication, say the Lord's Prayer, drink my coffee, try to get right. Try to remember, what am I doing today? Why am I here? I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. I'm going through, it's almost like where I'm at, I'm sort of like a semi-celebrity because of the education community. I've been here for over 30 years. And all these people, because having been an administrator, there will be people who are either a student, remembers you from, because I look pretty much the same I did back in the day, like 25 years ago. And, hey, Mr. Lynn, you were my principal, or Mr. Lynn, you were my, occasionally someone, you were my teacher or whatever. Like, oh, we're talking over 30 years ago, Everybody, please remember to be prepared, which is the prepper or the scout motto, be prepared. We are in hurricane season. And everybody, please have a blessed day, and hopefully we'll see each other tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk at 7 p.m. This was I really enjoyed this. This was a good live stream. I didn't talk near as much as I wanted to about the border wall, but there was a lot of good talk, and it was enjoyable. And I am working on boxes. I will be working on boxes, trying to get boxes out. Try to post a video. Everybody, blessings to you, and hopefully we'll get together tomorrow. I appreciate you. Leave comments. If you want to text me or email me, please do so. I'll be happy to talk with you. I'm off for the next 2 days. Thank you, and God bless. I really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.